Welcome to Organ 101, a branch of Organ India's podcast, New Beginnings, where we cover all the basics, the ABCs if you may, of organ donation. In today's episode, we will be discussing about the topic, why is organ donation important, and why are you even talking about organ donation? So to help us gather some information for our topic, we are joined by the CEO of Organ India, Mrs. Sunaina Singh, who spent countless hours and years in the field of organ donation, which basically means if you have any questions regarding organ donation, she's the expert. She's the go-to person for that. So Sunaina, first of all, welcome to this show. How is it going?
It's going fine, Swayamji. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast and really excited to be here. It's going okay. We've all been through COVID. My entire family just recovered. So we're limping back to normal and hoping things now go completely back to normal. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully they do. That's great to hear. So Sunaina, we have a bunch of questions that we have for you because we're really curious about this topic of organ donation. So getting into it, the most basic question that we have, I know you've probably gotten bored of answering the same question over and over again, but just for anyone listening who doesn't know, what basically is organ donation and why is it so important?
Yeah, you're right. It is something that I've answered many times, and I think it's quite simple. We talk about organ donation because we need a lot of people around the world, even in India, need organ transplants to be able to survive, right? They have organ failure, whether it's kidney or liver or lungs. Now lungs is, a lot of lung transplants are happening because of COVID. Although it was, a few years ago it was rare, but now even that is coming up. Liver, kidneys, intestines, pancreas transplants are happening a lot. In fact, pancreas transplant is a cure for diabetes. So that is something that I think in the future is going to pick up a lot, and a lot of people do need these transplants because, it's estimated that around 5 lakh people across India need suffering from organ failure and need organ transplants. Now, this is a very approximate figure, obviously. Nobody has the real exact figure, but this is the approximation. And the majority of those are people who need kidneys because, India is the diabetes capital of the world and diabetes hits the kidneys. And a lot of people, as a result of that, their kidneys fail and they go on dialysis and eventually they do need transplant. So, and the reason we need to talk about it is because every time, as you said, I've spoken to lots of people, spent a lot of hours talking. Whenever I talk to somebody, whether it's in an organization or at school we go to or somewhere else, I always find one person from there always calls me back and says, someone in my family needs, so, they want advice, they want to know what to do. So there are people in every family who know someone who's suffering from some sort of organ failure, and it's so prevalent. And that's why organ donation is important, because if we donate our organs after we die, then people who are, are on the waiting list and are waiting for a life-saving transplant, they are able to get the transplant that they need.
Correct. That sounds really interesting. I'm sure most people, and me myself included as well, have never actually paid that close attention and that close detail to the details of organ donation.
Yeah, that's true. Even I didn't before I started, so... it's
Correct.
Normal, yeah.
Yeah, I remember back in school, I knew a friend, like we were just talking and he was just discussing about this topic, and he once told me this absolutely bizarre story about that where in the name of organ donation, there are these shady doctors who take your organs out and sell them in the black market, And I'm sure you must be aware of all these types of stigmas and misconceptions that people are having regarding organ donation.
People have a lot of issues, because of for donating organs and tissues. In fact, something as simple as eye donation is, even we are lacking corneas also for donation. So for eye donation, they take the cornea out of your eye and they give it to somebody who's suffering from corneal blindness. And eye donation has been around for many years. There's been a huge campaign also many years ago on eye donation. So people still do know about it, and they do donate. But in India, we're still falling short of corneas for transplantation because people do not donate their, corneas after they're gone. So, and then there are a lot of people who have myths, misconceptions that if I remember somebody told me while I was working here that I am very well educated woman, gone to the best of schools, and she's telling me that, but I heard someone told me that in the next life you'll be born without an eye. If you donate your corneas, I mean, my grandmother donated her corneas, so so that when people say things like that, it's a little, I feel a little that okay, we are up against quite a lot of
big challenge.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure there must be a lot of misconceptions regarding organ donation as well. I would like to ask you, what are some of the most common misconceptions that you've heard?
So some of and it's not a misconception. This particularly is not a misconception. It's more like lack of awareness. Okay, which certainly is not the people's fault, because there have been hardly any campaigns that have been done to make people aware of this. So a lot of people do sign up for organ donation thinking that yes, after I'm gone, it's a wonderful thing. I'll donate my organs and somebody's life will be saved. And anyway, I'm dying, so it doesn't matter.
Correct.
So, and they with great gusto, they go and sign up for their donor card. Okay. And then I tell them that okay, so then they get the pamphlet and I explain to them what happens. And what people don't realize is that everybody who dies cannot donate their organs. Okay.
Correct.
You have to die a specific kind of a death in order for you to be able to donate your organs, and that is brain death. Okay. Now, I don't know.
What is brain death? I've kind of heard of this term, but I don't necessarily know what it means. Can you please elaborate on brain death?
Yeah. So every time you see an article in the paper, or you see anything written or a television, they'll say, so and so donated their organs. They were declared brain dead at this hospital, and then the organs were retrieved after taking permission from the family. So brain death is a situation where you have a very severe trauma to the head, and you are rushed to the hospital. You're in the hospital. You're on a ventilator, right? You're getting artificial life support, and in that state, the entire brain completely shuts down and dies. That is brain death. Now, brain death is not coma from which you can come back. Brain death is death, and you lose your capacity to ever breathe on your own again, and you lose the capacity for ever regaining consciousness. So what does that mean? That means you're technically dead, right? But because this occurs when a person is on a ventilator, the ventilator still keeps your other organs alive, right? It's artificial life support. So although your brain is dead and you're no longer alive, your body is still functioning because it's an artificial life support, and that is the time that organs can be donated, right? So as you can imagine, it's a very critical time, right? I mean, most of these deaths occur because of accidents or head injuries, right? Mostly accidents on the road. That means young people, a lot of young people, a lot of people on two-wheelers. Although, of course, it's not only people who die in an accident. It could be somebody who had a stroke. It could be a hemorrhage in the brain. It could be a gunshot wound to the head, whatever. It could be many, many things, which eventually lands people up in hospitals. They get on the ventilator, and then the brain is it dies. And that is the time that the doctors then approach the family, and they say that that this is what has happened. They declare the death. There's a proper system to declare the death. There's a lot of tests that have to be conducted under the law, and once that is done and the person is declared dead, then the family is approached.
Okay. Personally saying, brain death does not sound like a pleasant situation any person should be in.
No.
But honestly, personally saying, if you're in a situation where you're going to be dead regardless, you might as well help save another person's life by donating your organs, because there's no possible escape, right, from coming out of brain death.
Right. There's no. Right? It's not coma. It's death. Brain death is death according to the law. There's an act called Transplantation of Human Organs and Tissues Act of 1994. And under that law, they have defined what is brain death. They have said brain death is a form of death, just like cardiac death is a form of death, or cancer, you died of cancer, whatever. So brain death is a form of death. It's legally recognized in India, and actually, technically it's called brain stem death, because it is the stem of the brain which completely dies, which is connecting your head to your the rest of your body. It's at the back. It's called brain stem. So we keep saying brain death, but actually it's brain stem death. So
brain stem death.
Yeah, and it's defined properly. It is, they've said these are the, even in the law, they've written down the tests that have to be done in order to declare the death, and only then can the person be declared, and then the family can be approved.
Correct. So I'm curious, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people listening to this, and me included as well, who want to help out, but the process of the procedure relating to organ donation, it just confuses them. It just, from looking at it from an outsider's perspective who has no clue about it, it just seems very complicated. They're not exactly sure about where to start and who to reach out to. So my question to you, ma'am, is that what can a person who's listening to this do immediately to help out in any way possible regarding the organ donation process?
So, Swayamji, earlier I told you that once the person is declared brain dead, that the family is approached and counseled. Now, people have to understand this very carefully, that the decision to donate their organs is not going to be theirs. It's going to be the family. Okay. Then, according to the law, the family has to give consent, right? So, you can, in your lifetime, you can sign up for a donor card. We have our own website. There's an auto website. We send, you can come to the website. You can fill out your card. We will give you the card and a certificate and a flyer, and it's very easy process. You can just go to organindia.org and apply for your donor card. You fill in all the information. We'll put it into the government database. We'll get a registration number for you from the government, and we'll send you the donor card, right?
Okay.
That all is there. That's great. I think it's great if people sign up and get their card. But you have to understand that you must tell your family about your decision. Otherwise, it's pointless. So if I get a donor card and keep it, with me, it serves no purpose, right? Tomorrow if something happens to me and they ask my husband or they ask my kids, oh, do you want to be an organ donor? And they have no clue that I want to do this. They're not going to say yes. But if they already know that this is what I wished for, then they'll definitely, think twice and consider it.
Correct.
So there are times when people who want to donate, they don't end up donating because, the family says no. And then there's times when most of the time people who haven't signed up for anything, but they pass away and the family is, counseled and they agree to donation. So most important thing is that it's family consent. Therefore, you must have this conversation with your family if you want to go ahead and do this.
Definitely. I feel like, it actually inspired me to talk about this with my friends and family, inform them. Because in normal conversation, I don't think you ever bring up organ donation. But I feel like this topic is so important for the future, and for such a small change can lead to such a massive impact. By simply talking about it with your friends, you can seriously get someone inspired and get them on the track to getting curious about this.
Exactly. So that's what we want. We want people to at least know about their choices. If they want to donate or they don't want to donate, that is completely their decision. But they must be aware of their choices. And that is why, we do what we do. We raise awareness. We make sure everybody understands that this is a choice they have. If they die, they can donate their organs. They can even donate their tissues like their eyes, skin, all of that. And they must know that. Now, what they do with that information is up to them.
Correct. After listening to this, I'm 100% going to be signing the pledge to become a donor.
Great.
That's wonderful. And I encourage everyone listening to also sign the pledge. And it's for a great cause that can help save so many lives.
Yeah, and don't forget to talk to your family about it.
Correct. Get anyone listening, please talk to your family about this. Such a small thing can lead to you don't understand the power of words. You can just talk about it, and they can just blossom into something so big.
Yeah, and also people should know that this is purely an altruistic donation, and there is no give or take in this. The donor family gets nothing. They do it because they want to help others survive. That's it. And the organs are not sold or anything like that. They are transplanted into patients who are on the waiting list in various hospitals around the world, or around the country. Sorry. They're transplanted into various. They're transplanted into various patients who are on the wait list in hospitals around the country.
Correct. Anyway, Sunaina, I'd like to say thank you for being a part of today's show and taking time out as well to help us and explain and guide us in understanding some of the most common questions that people have regarding organ donation.
Thanks so much, Swayamji. It was a pleasure to be here.
No problem, Sunaina. I hope people listening also have gained some value from this podcast and hopefully enjoyed this episode as well. We have many more such episodes lined up for you, so stay tuned and take care. Also, if anyone listening has questions or suggestions about the podcast, please feel free to connect with us on Facebook and Instagram, or mail us at info@organindia.org or give us a call on our toll-free helpline number 1-800-120-3648.